My name is Barbara Thurman, and I live here in Wiggin Village. I've lived here 45 years. Wiggin Village came to be thanks to Dr. Wiggins and his colleagues. He had a dream to build housing for the working poor. And there was a trust, but there was not enough money, and it stayed dormant for a while. And when programs came through the government, we were able to get monies to do the building here. And it's not, a lot of people think it's a project, a public house. It is not. It is board of trustees. We oversee it. I'm on the board. And Dr. Montague, Wayne Montague there. And we have such support from the community police. Before I moved to Wiggin Village, I lived in South Providence. I lived on Blackstone Street. And, well, I heard about the village being built, and I was very interested. But there was a problem. I had 8 children, and people always think that children destroy, all children destroy. And in numbers, they really don't want to have anything to do with you, and I wouldn't tell the truth when I would look for an apartment because I had 8 kids. But my children were well behaved because I was always on them. So when I moved here, I didn't put all the kids' names down. But after I moved here, they saw that my children were very well behaved, and I became an asset to the village and also the community. There was work going on for the commercial area, but only this court and P Court and QRNS were built. And I was the second one in this court, and it was a dream. It was a dream. Nice apartment and clean, and because all the apartments that I lived in before, I had to go in really and do renovation myself. I remember buying at Barry's, that's an old paper company, and I like nice things. And I remember finding top contractors to come in the houses that and to hang my wallpaper, to paint, and I was renting. And remarks would be made to me, "That's not my house, why are you?" But I would answer, "I have to live here. I want to live here." So that's why I do that. There was a transition, it started going downhill. And I think what contributed was bad management. Some of it, not all of it, because tenants have to bear some of the responsibility also. Some people, they haven't been brought up to understand about community, and the community reflects the people that live in it. It's things that went on during the bad times, drug dealing right in our face, right in the court here. But my 2 next door neighbors, one on my left, the one on my right, we were older during that time because our children were grown, most of them were. And it was as if the drug dealers had just taken over, and we were complaining, nothing was done about it. They would do their business on Cranston Street, run over here, do their transaction, changing their products and monies. And a lot of businesses, people that worked for them, would come and drive in, and it's like I always say, it was like a drive-in fast food place. They would come through, do their business, and I would be so angry, and I would always calling the police, always calling the police. And I finally was just fed up, and I went out, and it was a confrontation. But my 2 neighbors stood up with me, and they were my age. We were older people. And I can remember Maisel, her husband got angry with her because one day she walked over on Cranston Street and walked behind the dealers and and told them they should be in school. They should be trying to learn the trade. They should do better than standing on the corner bringing the poison into the neighborhood. And her husband was behind her. Come back, come back. You're going to get hurt. They're going to hurt you. She said, I don't care. I don't care. So we three together kind of got things under control here, because I would call businesses and report that their employees were coming through here and they were buying drugs or delivering drugs. It was the cab company, it was the gas company, stores, their employees were also contributing to the problem. Also the prostitution. And I remember standing on my porch screaming at one of the prostitutes when it was like no one cared. But we kept pushing, and they started listening to us. And as I said, I can remember a car was driven into my living room. Yes, a car was driven into my living room.
Tell
Yes.
us about that. Do you know who did it?
No, they never knew. I live in M3, and at that time, the neighbor in M5 said that he saw the car come up, drive in, and drive right into my living room. And normally I would lay on the couch, didn't want to go upstairs, lay on the couch and take a nap, sleep. And that night I went upstairs, and they came all the way, broke all the door down, and drove the car in, drove out, and took off. And the news media came, and I made a statement, and I said, I'm not giving up. You're not going to take our neighborhood. I'm not going to give up. So I just kept on pushing. Since then, things have improved since then.
What do you attribute that to?
The police listening, and 3 elderly women pushing. Yes. I've been involved in quite a few things. Can't remember everything because people will come up to me and mention things, and I'll say, oh, I don't remember. If we're talking to someone and they'll say, you know, Barbara did so and so. Yes, she did so, and I don't even remember. I can remember Toys for Tots, signing up for that and distributing. And also, I was responsible, really, Black History Month. I remember mentioning that to the office. People need to, the children need to realize that, because there's a lot of history. And we did that one year, we did it the next year, so now it's an annual thing that we do. Oh, I remember trying to beautify my place during the bad time. The kids in the neighborhood and right here in the court, I had them planting flowers. And now they're grown, some of them are married. They're grown now. Oh, I remember one year, my daughter, she was in the Navy, and she was stationed in Japan. And she sent me money so that I would go to visit her. So I took that money and had an affair for the kids here. And what I think a good neighbor is being available, being helpful, but not really pushing themselves. You have to get a feeling of, because everybody's different. So you have to know your neighbor, and you get to know them by just conversation, light conversation, and you will get a feeling how far you can go with them. And because I interact differently with each neighbor. So, but everyone is open to people helping them, being vigilant and caring for the property and knowing someone is there if there's an emergency, but not being overbearing. Knowing how far your neighbor wants to go with you. That's what I consider being a good neighbor. What's changed the most since I've been here, I think there's a closeness among the neighbors. Because if someone is in the hospital, they pass the word, they do what they can, they reach out. And it's not 100%, there's always, because it can't be that way. But for the most part, the people, they look out for each other here. Wow, I love this neighborhood. I love this neighborhood. And my children have all done well. And they wanted me to move, but I will not move from here. And I meet people a lot of times, kids that have grown up here that we used to do a lot of activities with. And they're surprised to hear that I still live here. And when people ask, "You're still there? When? You're still there? When are you leaving?" And I always say, "When the hearse comes to get me."